You're standing at the seafood case, watching ice sparkle under bright lights like it's trying to sell you certainty. Salmon glows orange. Tuna looks athletic and clean. Halibut is pure white, almost clinical. Your brain wants the easy conclusion: fish equals healthy. And in many ways, it does. Fish can be delicious, high in protein, and a strong source of omega-3 fatty acids. In the US, dietary guidance commonly encourages eating fish about twice a week. But then you notice the fine print people skip. Mercury. PCBs. Limit for children. Not recommended during pregnancy. The healthiest aisle in the store suddenly feels like it has a trap door. That contradiction is the story. Fish can be one of the best things you eat all week, while certain fish are the easiest way to accidentally bring home what you were trying to avoid. The difference isn't your discipline, it's the fish's life story. Let's get into it right here on Secrets of Simple Things. The shortcut that breaks. Most people shop for fish the way they shop for a supplement. Which one has the most omega-3? Omega-3 matters, but it's only the benefit side of the receipt. The risk side is written in a different language. Mercury, industrial pollutants like polychlorinated biphenyls, PCBs, and sometimes environmental harm tied to how the fish was caught or farmed. So the better first question is simpler. Which fish tends to stay cleaner? And which fish tends to accumulate risk? The Accumulation Rule. In the ocean, contamination often behaves like compounding interest. Tiny organisms absorb trace pollutants. Small fish eat many tiny organisms. Bigger fish eat many small fish. Top predators eat everything below them. If mercury or persistent chemicals exist in that system, each step up the food chain concentrates them. Time amplifies it. A fish that lives a long time has more meals, more exposure, and more years for accumulation. That's why healthy fish is rarely a single name. It's usually a profile, smaller, shorter-lived, and lower on the chain. The caution profile is the opposite: large, long-lived, predatory. Now we can walk the seafood case the way your brain actually experiences it, not as a checklist, but as zones. Small, oily, repeatable. Start where nature makes the decision easy. Herring is a quiet win. It's often praised for very high omega-3 content compared with many fish, while also being lower in mercury because it's small. It brings vitamin D and selenium, and it's commonly recommended as a heart-friendly choice. It's also described as especially supportive for pregnancy because it reinforces brain development. Some people avoid it because of the small bones, but those bones can be eaten as a calcium source. If you don't like that, you can debone it before cooking. If you want this to be a real habit, befriend a local fishmonger, someone who can help you source it well and prep it fast. Herring can show up as a main dish or as small side snacks, and it still feels like real food, not a compromise. Sardines belong in the same repeatable category. They were named after Sardinia because of the abundance once found there, and many people rely on the canned version because fresh sardines are highly perishable. Nutritionally, they're dense: vitamin D, B12, omega-3, protein, and minerals like niacin, iron, potassium, magnesium, zinc, and phosphorus. They're often singled out as especially helpful for pregnant women and older adults because they contain calcium and other vital nutrients. They can slide into salads, sit on crackers, or become the main course. One caution matters. If you have uric acid issues or certain kidney problems, sardines shouldn't be an automatic choice. Talk with a doctor before making them a routine. If you like mackerel, the name matters. Atlantic mackerel is the version many advisories treat as the smarter pick, because it is lower in mercury than king mackerel. It's rich in protein and healthy fats, and it contributes vitamin B12, iron, potassium, selenium, and antioxidants. There's also an environmental angle. The fishing gear used for Atlantic mackerel is often described as effective and less likely to cause significant habitat destruction. According to the FDA, it's okay to eat Atlantic mackerel 2 or more times a week. It pairs simply with steamed rice and tender steamed broccoli, and the simplest cooking is exactly what it sounds like. Pan-fry the fillets or barbecue them. High benefit, source matters. Now move to fish that can be excellent choices, but only if you respect the details. Rainbow trout, and some lake trout, often sits in the practical sweet spot. It's commonly described as low in mercury and, in the U.S., is deemed a best choice by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA. Beyond omega-3, trout brings protein and nutrients that support day-to-day physiology. Potassium, often linked to blood pressure, phosphorus, bone integrity, B-complex vitamins, cell metabolism, and selenium, antioxidant support. It fits real dinners, oven-roasted vegetables, grilled vegetables, potatoes, fresh green salad, and rice. It's a weeknight fish, which is another way of saying it's the kind you'll actually eat more than once. And then we meet the celebrity, salmon. Wild-caught salmon is often preferred over farmed because it is generally associated with less exposure to certain contaminants and pollutants. Canned salmon can also be a strong option when fresh isn't realistic, because it makes the choice repeatable. It works well in soup or stew, or shaped into salmon cakes. Salmon contains no carbohydrates unless you add sauces or condiments, so it fits neatly into a low-carb pattern. One practical detail from the guidance is worth remembering. Remove the skin to further decrease contaminants and carcinogens. The fish that stop being simple. Now we cross the invisible line into fish that can still be nutritious, but carry enough risk or enough ecological cost that they stop being easy defaults. Orange roughy is a cautionary tale disguised as a clean fillet. It's also called slimehead, and it can live 150 years or more. That lifespan gives it decades to accumulate mercury. High mercury levels can interfere with normal brain function and are particularly dangerous for expecting or lactating mothers and infants. Sustainability is another issue. Orange roughy has been overfished, and many restaurants refuse to serve it for that reason. The fishing method matters too. Orange roughy is commonly caught by bottom trawling, which can destroy seafloor species assemblages and fragile seamount habitats. Wild-caught Atlantic halibut is a different kind of warning because it looks like purity. It is not especially high in omega-3, and it has been flagged for higher mercury levels and higher purine content. Purines break down into uric acid, contributing to gout and kidney stones. Halibut may also contain toxic industrial chemicals such as PCBs. On the population side, Atlantic halibut has been overfished and has been described as slow to recover. One projection cited is that it may not repopulate until the year 2056. If you want halibut, the practical suggestion is to choose farm-raised instead of overfished wild Atlantic halibut. The most confusing entry is Atlantic salmon farmed in open-net pens because it wears the face of the wellness fish. The concern is not just the fillet, it's the system around it. Open pens can pollute surrounding waters with fish waste, excess feed, medicines used to treat disease and sea lice, including antibiotics, and cleaning chemicals used for pen maintenance. There are also concerns about interspecies mixing with wild fish. farmed salmon are often fed a processed, high-protein, high-fat diet to make them unnaturally larger. They're also described as having fewer nutrients compared with wild-caught salmon and higher fat content. Fishery advisors note that consumer pressure has been pushing fish farms to adopt better practices. But the point here is simple. Salmon is not one story, and pens are the version that carries the most baggage. Bluefin tuna belongs on the caution side for both health and sustainability. It is associated with high mercury levels and PCBs, and the ECF discourages consuming it for that reason. Sustainability concerns are also severe. Major conservation organizations, including WWF, have warned that bluefin tuna is endangered and that populations are depleting due to overfishing. If you want a practical substitute, suggestions include tinned sardines or even organic tinned chicken. Finally, king mackerel, especially from the Pacific, shows how a familiar name can mislead. Mackerel in general is praised for omega-3, but king mackerel is a large predator close to the top of the food chain and is associated with high mercury. Some advisories add another warning. Consuming excessive oily fish like king mackerel may impact the body's capacity to fight bacterial infections. Across guidance, the consistent message is that children, pregnant or breastfeeding women, and the elderly should avoid this fish. The 5-second rule. Use this before your brain starts negotiating. Default to smaller fish that live shorter lives, and pause when the fish is large, long-lived, and predatory. Then check the exact name and source when the label sounds familiar. Atlantic mackerel is not king mackerel. Wild salmon is not pen-farmed salmon. A rhythm you can repeat. Make your staples herring, sardines, Atlantic mackerel, and rainbow trout. Add wild salmon, fresh or canned, when it fits your budget and taste. Treat orange roughy, wild Atlantic halibut, pen-farmed Atlantic salmon, bluefin tuna, and king mackerel as needs homework fish, often easier to skip than to justify. And remember, lists can change as the industry changes. With proper management, fisheries can rebound. Without it, depletion can persist for years. When in doubt, check updated guidance such as Monterey Bay Aquarium Seafood Watch or NOAA Fisheries. Fish really can be one of the healthiest foods. Fish really can be one of the healthiest foods you eat. The secret is that healthy isn't a label. It's a relationship between biology, time, and the systems that bring food to shore. Once you see that, the seafood case stops feeling like a gamble. If you want, tell me the fish you buy most often, and whether it's in your staple rhythm or your needs homework category. And if you enjoy decoding hidden rules inside everyday food, consider subscribing for more on secrets of simple things.